Loneliness, that's a killer.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the Main Character Podcast, level 16, made possible by the Cult of Khan. That's you guys. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you for being here. Let's see if I can find chat. Where'd the window go? I feel like I'm not getting any better at this. That's part of the fun, right? Yo, we're taking it back, bro. Taking it back. Mom knows. This is a classic record, guys. If you haven't heard this one before, it's Seal. What's the year on this one? 1991. ZTT Records Limited. Hit it up. The Window. Doctor Who's expecting me to do something at this point, but I've totally forgotten because I've just had too much on my plate. First of all, though, I do want to say thank you to Paul Stobbs tonight for giving a shout out to the channel. We gained a few new subscribers. I want to say thank you all for being here, though. I don't know why it would send you over to watch this terrible channel occupied by a strange weirdo who hangs out here on Wednesday nights. Weird indeed. If you're just now getting in, thank you for being here. Welcome to the Main Character Podcast. I'm gonna say hi to everybody. We got Cage Fighter, how you doing? We got Wendy, what's up, Wendy? Doctor Who, how you doing, my man? Doctor Who says, "Here's the window." I have no expectation. If it was something I was supposed to deliver, I've failed. You have to punish me for it later, man. Well, as you guys know. The first thing, like I said, I wanted to thank Paul for inviting new people out here to hang out with us. If you're just now getting in here, like I said, welcome. Thank you for being here. Oh shoot, Wendy, your logo's still up. Well, okay, there we go. What happened to the other one? Oh, there we go. Things are a little out of whack today, guys. I just had a lot on my plate. I'm trying to build some new stuff for the future of the channel, and so my basic stuff's a little wonk. You'll have to forgive me. I was looking for the chat window. Oh, Doctor Who's. See, sometimes I feel like I'm just like either really dumb or maybe I'm just really dumb. What's up, Jay? Welcome in, my man. Guys, I'm sure you've heard about enough about the dang election, but you're gonna have to hear me talk about it because that's the theme of today's show. Selection. And of course, we're not gonna get too far into the nitty gritty. We're just gonna keep it light because, guys, I'm exhausted. I stayed up way too late watching it. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have watched it. I'm like, I'm not voting. I don't care. I don't participate. And then I stare at it in the middle of the night. I just gotta know, okay? I know I'm not alone in that. We gotta know. I mean, where do we begin, right? Like, the whole thing is just absolutely crazy. Obviously, it was a pretty substantial victory for the red side of the dichotomy in this episode of, as Paul called it, Masonic Theater. I do have to say it was entertaining. They really did pull no punches on that thing by having it go up to the wire like that, and everything that it reminded me of back when the last time when I invested any energy into this crazy debacle. But before we get into the whole election thing, I want to take a moment to talk about someone who is no longer with us. And when I say that, I mean that respectfully, but also it is a joke. I believe the man is still alive, but I feel as though that's a good way to describe what has happened to our friend David. And of course, David, let's go on over here. David was a follower of the channel for a long time, and it's actually just, it's one of those things that I think that as you continue to grow as a creator and as an individual, you can't keep everybody. Not everyone's going to stay your friend, so to speak, you know what I'm saying? And so anyway, David decided after the airing of the latest episode of Sunday Service, which is the beginning of the Kingdom Saga, where we're going to be using kind of scriptural focus to talk about this mysterious concept of the millennial reign of Christ, the millennial kingdom, so to speak, and then also some of that implications like regarding like the little season of Satan and just biblical lore. It's kind of like a church-based lore study, just looking into it. But I think I might have crossed some lines, and a buddy, a friend of ours, a follower of ours has flown the coop, and I guess he was pretty mad about it. And I wanted to just be like, whatever, and let it go. And obviously I didn't want to give too much energy to it, but I wanted to just bring up the fact that this man, he would leave comments on these videos all the way back. Is there something wrong with why I can't see the comments here? What is this? Okay, here we go. No, seriously, what is the deal? Am I just dumb? Or is there just comments not visible on this video? Oh, there's all the way down. All right, so let's see. He's not on the first one. I wonder how many episodes in I have to go. But David used to leave comments on like every single Sunday Service video. Some of them were like multiple paragraphs in length. So we'll just pop down here until we find one from him. And we may have to go up to like episode 6 or 8 or something. But I'm just going to go really quick. And the reason I'm doing this is because it's an exercise in forgiveness. Because like I should be like, it's not a big deal, right? People can like whatever they want. But at the same time, it's kind of hurtful when, you see yourself as like kind of friends with somebody and they just write you off without like talking to you, Because I never would have done that to David. You know what I'm saying? And instead of trying to be like, damn you, David, you're a bastard, I'm trying to find a piece of David that was good. So that, if he ever comes back or if we never see him again, we remember David as an encouraging person, a brother in Christ, someone who is genuinely seeking, but just on his own path in life. And as truth seekers, we're the weirdos in the world here. Looks like we still got a ways to go. Who knows where? We'll find one with him on it soon. Don't worry. But yeah, I want to be able to remember. Oh man, I'm dying. We got a new guy named David in the chat, and he's like, step aside, David. We got a new David in town. Oh man, that's legendary, my friend. That's a really good one. Oh, here we go, dude. First one in. What is this, episode 5? This is our guy David here. Public comment, so this is what he says. And I'll read it. You guys can follow along. Beautiful prayer, brother. This presentation is truly the most inspiring message I've heard from one that has your experience. Well done. You have excellent writing skills in presenting this truth seamlessly with a great vibration in your oration. Haha. I knew this was going to be a great day as I manifested that possibility, and while on John's handle, I saw your comment and I immediately got the name and thought, this is who God wants me to investigate. So I went to your channel and received a witness that this is where I should spend some time on learning from your perspective that you clearly define in this presentation. The thought occulticons entered my mind. Haha. I'm looking forward to watching all of your material and learning more of your testimony of our King, Jesus Christ. I've been studying all religions and searching the holy, infallible Word of God for over 55 years and would like to share some truth with you as well. That is all substantiated on what the Word of God says, what God and His only begotten Son have done in creation, atonement, and salvation by discerning His Word by, of, and through the Holy Spirit, instead of the retelling by some man or institution. My experience with organized religion has been profound in learning that everyone is apostate and teach the doctrines of man's interpretation over what our Creator has given us to make us free. As you cannot set something that has not been created, the scriptures you have quoted were perfect to express your witness of the truth of the word and supporting your point of understanding. Thank you. Peace. DWD. So, and we can go on. I think this was episode, 5? Truth. Okay, so there are 33 original episodes of Sunday Service up until this new series. And starting at about 5 and onward, I would see David almost every single week, and he always had a full page-long comment to leave. And so that is how we will remember David, as a man of experience, a man of truth, and a man of encouragement. And if he ever decides to come back, then it would be a blessing. And if not, I pray that the Lord takes care of this man on his journey, and that he finds the truth no matter what it is. Even if our interpretation is wrong, I pray he finds the real truth for the sake of him and for everybody else he ever comes in contact with. God bless this man. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and end the sad part of the podcast, and let's get to the bread and butter, my friend. Ka-chow. Ha-ka-cha-chow-chow. And there's obviously, I don't have anything great to show you. We're just talking. But that's what we do on Main Character. It's kind of a low-key variety stream. Anyway, popping in. I'll check in with you guys here in chat because, David, there can be only one. How's it going, Janelle? I thought I saw you in the chat before the thing started, but I didn't want to say anything because I was like in over my head trying to get caught up before we started. So, good to see ya. Yeah, you know, it's... As far as it goes, wow, he needs to start a channel. Yeah. It was a really a blessing to hear from David and to have that last 6 months of encouraging messages from him. And I encourage you guys to go through and watch the videos if you haven't gotten up to date on my Sunday services. And I think it's kind of a fresh perspective. Just, you know, it's kind of like church, but it's like an alternative to church. So feel free to check it out. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and check out the comments from David and see all the great encouragement this guy had. He was, you know, despite his little, you know, our disagreement on ideas or what have you in the end there, like I said, I want to remember him for all the good things that he did. He left a lot of positive energy on this channel and for this community. So for that, I'm grateful. But as I said, we're going to go ahead and leave that behind and move on. So the election, the selection, whatever you want to call it, obviously just went down yesterday. That was definitely more exciting than I thought it would be. I can't stand politics. You know, I remember being a little kid and watching, my parents weren't huge on politics, but you'd see it go in the tickers and and I just remember feeling like it was such a drag. Like, who wants to watch this, man? It's so boring. It sucks. and then on top of that, you know, once you start to realize how it all really works, it starts to get kind of annoying instead of boring. It kind of grinds your gears, I guess. Jay says, did anyone see the links or my email address that I put in the chat last week? I don't even know if I saw that. I wonder if you're being censored. I would not be surprised. What's up, Elizabeth? Welcome in. Good to see you. Guys, this was crazy, right? So I'm sure many of you guys watched it. I'm not trying to give you too much recap, but let me talk about my prediction. Okay, so a few months back, I talked about what could potentially come of this election, and I kind of have mentioned it offhandedly as we've gotten closer to the date throughout the last year. And I don't know how much I spoke about it openly on the channel, but my opinion was that there was a good possibility that Trump would win, but I also had reasonable concern to believe that Kamala would win. I know it's just a show, but there is some truth to the fact that in order to maintain the charade, certain things have to happen in real life. So, you know, you can't just put in a person who claims to be a conservative and then they don't do conservative things, then they get considered to be like a rhino. You know, at least when you have, like, the Democrat Party is pretty openly destructive and hateful of America. So when you put in a Democrat operative and they start destroying the country, it's like par for the course, so people don't think you're pretending. But if you walk in, you're like, we're going to fix everything, and then you start tearing stuff up, they're going to be like, yeah, they're going to catch on quicker. So worst case scenario is Trump's made a lot of promises to America. If he doesn't keep the promises, people will find him to be a disloyal or distrustful person. And I think that I'm not here to like advocate towards the quality of Trump as a person or as a candidate. I'm just saying that, like, as it stands, a lot of humanity has to learn lessons the hard way. And I consider 2020 my hard way lesson. You know, somebody asked the other day, and I don't get credit for asking the question, but like, where did 20 million votes go? Right? Because Trump got something like 71 million and 70 million last time too. So we're talking about a very small discrepancy between 2020 and 2024 results for Trump. But Kamala only got 62 million, whereas Joe Biden got like 81. There's somewhere between 15 and 20 million votes that just didn't turn up this time around. some food for thought. I mentioned that the elections are kind of, my opinion is that it's not exactly real. And part of that is based on what I experienced in 2020. Having contributed so much time and energy, I bought into the idea that, like, if it wasn't Trump, we were going to be screwed. And we survived the last 4 years. I think that the media, it does a great disservice to the country and to the general public, the way they treat us all like we're doomed at every moment, while ignoring real problems, right? It's one of the greatest threats to our civilization is that the only organizations with the ability to freely spread ideas are often spreading false ideas. Whereas when you and I have something we want to say, we can't say it, or else we're banned for 24 hours to protect the community from cyberbullying. And the most remarkable thing I think about that censorship principle, especially on YouTube, is that most of the time what they're censoring you for is not inherently harmful. It's just that there are certain things that are true, and the truth is dangerous to people who tell lies. So if you produce even just the smallest bit of truth, In fact, I'm thinking about this, and it's kind of a tangent. I don't want to break away so far right off the bat, but I do want to talk about something that, we'll come back to it. I got time tonight. Wendy says it was all scripted to be a year of they stole it. I agree 100%. It's like they set up the election to have it be that it was stolen so that they could restore trust into it. Because now it's fixed and we know it works because our guy won, right? Yeah, I noticed that like, I don't want to use the word salty because that implies it's like unjustified, but like, I can tell that Paul also has kind of like low patience with elections, and I feel that energy. And we were watching, some of you guys were there, we were watching Paul a couple hours ago. And his impromptu late night stream, which to me is just so funny because it's like late night for him, and I was like just getting off work. But yeah, it's just a weird thing that, they generate the threat and then they defeat it, right? I heard somebody back in the day say it, and it applies to both sides, but you see it more kind of used with the Democrats. I say, the Democrats will break your leg to sell you an overpriced crutch. And that's pretty much the truth, right? But it's not just that. Back in the day, I was a pretty big follower of like Q stuff, QAnon, Q drops. I religiously followed it, not because I was 100% sold on it, but because I gotta know. You know what I mean? Like it's my justification. I gotta know. And I forgot to put my ring light back. It's in like a weird spot now. Whatever. Anyway, it could fall off at any moment sitting up there. Anyway, it just doesn't make a lot of sense that we would buy into this time and time again. You know what I mean? It's this constant beating you over the head and then being like, helmets 25% off. You know what I mean? It's one of the main ways that we're kind of like brought into these. The dichotomy survives. The dichotomy survives because we continually believe, like Jay's saying here. Jay says it was a red sweep because people were voting against woke. And I think there's truth to that. I think people were voting against woke. But then the question is like, is it really a red sweep, or do they just know that by generating certain media and perspectives that will believe a red sweep? So when they, because how much of it is actually real? Doctor Who says, have you seen Russian roulette has become a genre for gamers? Are you talking about that new game? What's it called? I think I know what you're talking about. I wish I knew what the name of it was. You like play as it's like a dive bar. Everyone's been playing it lately. And you do like a card game, and it's like, oh, aces, and you put aces down. And if somebody thinks you're lying about putting an ace down, they can call you out. And if you did put an ace down, they have to roulette. And if you actually, didn't do it and they caught you, you have to roulette, and you spin the revolver and pow. Very healthy. It's a quality game for kids, don't you think? Oh, Liar's Bar. That's what it's called. I can see how, this is the problem that I think we face as like believers in the world. It's like, where do you draw the line? Like, do we just become Amish? Like, do we have to just say, oh, I got to have a wood cart because everything is corrupted? You know what I mean? Like, we look at something like Liar's Bar. I think inherently that is a good example of something that we don't have to like. I don't think you should spend your time playing roulette games in Russian roulette games in any capacity. To each their own. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. But then I find myself struggling with the moral implications. I was talking to my dad about it earlier. Like, Christ is this loving character. He's really great and really righteous and holy, and you guys know. But then he's also like a table turner. And I find myself always struggling between like what is the correct course of action for, are you a good guy because you watch injustice happening and you do nothing? Like, what is the philosophical ramification for saying like, well, it's not our place to get involved, so we can't, but like injustice is taking place right before our eyes. Like, I tend to believe that the zealots of the old world who would like go to war, crusade across the known world for the sake of what they believe in, it's like, I'm not saying that that's the right way to be about all these crazy, like, things that we're facing in the world, these degenerations, if whatever it is. But at the same time, it's like, are you the worst? It's just hard for me because I'm like a go to war kind of guy in my mind for the right reasons, right? Like, avoid war until you have to go, but then when you go, fully destroy the enemy. And it's just tough because this is one of those things, like when it comes to like political stuff, we've gone too far to be able to continue to pretend to have a discourse, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you're having conversations with people on the political other side of the fence, a lot of the stuff we're divided on is like, there's no way to meet a compromise on. Like, we should have been at arms a long time ago. So we're in this weird place now where it doesn't mean it's right to take up arms. Of course, I'm not suggesting that at all. We had that conversation last week. But I just wonder about when people decide enough is enough. And with this whole Trump situation, this is one of those examples where things got bad enough that people got activated, but all they were willing to do was just put paper in the box. Like, last week I attempted to bring it up, but I'm such scatterbrained and I'm always so wiped out at the end of the day. I wish I could stream in the morning. Maybe on a day off we'll start doing it. But the whole idea of standards, right? I brought this up, but I never actually talked about it or expanded on it. I mean, I said standards, like the flag you carry, and it has colors and it has logos, and it's how people identify you. But yes, there's that. But then there's also like the concept of standards, like morally or as a character, as a person, principles. And I was recently remarking to people, the reason why woke is so annoying, the reason why people don't like this like aggressive LGBTQ agenda is because they are all people with standards. It doesn't make it right. Their standards might be crazy or based in some kind of insane ideation or mental illness or a drug addiction that they're experiencing. Those are all, or trauma from their childhood. Those are all valid reasons for why they're crazy and why they think their crazy ideas are valid. But the fact of the matter is they really believe those ideas. So when you're encountering someone on the political far left and they hate you because you're a Nazi because you think that women are women or whatever, those people really believe that about you. They actually have standards to the point that they're willing to go really far. Like, they're willing to do terrible things. Not saying that's the right way to go, but I'm just saying that we have to admire their commitment to the things that they believe in. When you look at the country and you see that babies are being aborted in America, the land of the free, supposedly, but you're being murdered by your own parents, it's like those people over there are as convinced that you trying to prevent it's in their mind as egregious of a crime as what they're committing in actuality. That's why they don't feel bad about it. Their desire to commit such crimes is so important to them that they consider you trying to stop them to be as egregious as the crime that they themselves are committing. And it just comes down to a reality that it's like people need to be smart enough with geopolitical experience and recognize that you cannot have discussions about some things. And so it's the question of who actually has the standards, who actually has the balls to hold on to what they believe in and stand up for it. I'm very much a table turner. I feel like we don't have Christian table turners to be yelled at and told they're being too aggressive, they're not being Christ-like. Like, I want that to be my message of encouragement and admonition and whatever. Where fellow believers and stuff are telling me, like, dude, you need to stop being so crusader-ish. You know what I mean? Like, I that's how I feel. Tonight Paul was shouting out channels, and he shouted out my channel. I was really glad he's done that so much. Basically, only have followers on here, only have subscribers because of Paul. And that's why I was even so amazed about David getting freaked out about Millennial Kingdom, because I thought, well, where'd you come from, David? Where are you from? I thought that you were from the Millennial Kingdom community. I'm surprised you're like not happy about what I thought we all talked about over there. But yeah, he was calling me bold and saying I just was, and I know that there's a difference between us. Like, I think that I look at a guy like Paul and I want to emulate him. Like, he's such a humble, like, kind and intuitive and curious, but also knowledgeable. And, that's the kind of guy you want to be. I'm kind of like an angry edgelord on the internet. I can't help it. When I was a kid, I was really passionate and really just honest, but the world's really cruel. Like, I gotta burn it down and rebuild it so it's safe for future people like me to just be themselves and not have to turn into some kind of angry freak, And I'm not the most angry guy ever. It just, I get to the point where I'm like, when Christ, this is that story, of Christ, like, whipping merchants and turning the tables of injustice, so to speak. There's a point where he scatters their wages, like, he scatters their wares. And I know that it's so briefly discussed, and I think that in the minds of most people, it's like, maybe you don't, like David said, don't wrest the scripture, like, don't make it say things it doesn't say. Fine. But what about context, right? Because it says he scatters their wares. Scatters where? Like, even if he just physically had coins. Remember, we understand that a temple in Jerusalem at the time of Christ is it's like multiple city blocks. It's not like a building. I know Sunday school teaches us it's like a little column building, but we're talking about a district of town. There's so many people, so huge. He scattered their coins, as in he had their stuff, and he was throwing their money everywhere. So who did he scatter it to? You know what I mean? He basically did like a wealth redistribution of the merchants. So he finds these people engaging in money, like they're occupying space, and they're trading and doing like things in an area that's totally, like, in other words, it's all illegitimate, all like blasphemous, illegitimate, turned the Father's house into a dang marketplace. I can think of like a million churches with a gift shop and a t-shirt place and whatever, do whatever you want, but just, literally the reason Christ freaked out on people. I know the Father's house is the people. But when people are religious and the church is the church, they're thinking in their mind, that's the Father's house, and they're selling coffee and books. So, I'm just saying, do what you're going to do, but, that's probably not it. We're probably not succeeding by doing that. But anyway, yeah, it's a weird thing to think about that the church is, I've lost my train of thought. I'm going to go to chat. I just tend to ramble, you know what I mean? David says, I think lots of the Pizzagate stuff and Epstein/Diddy people could be exposed and punished by Trump, all part of building him up as the great savior and trying to sell the Patriots in control psyop. David, I love that you said that. New David. Because like I said earlier, I was a big follower of the Q stuff, and I've never seen something more impactful on a generation than this Operation Truth, Operation Trust kind of thing that's going on with the Q stuff. And I can see how, like, in the beginning, it was pretty good. Like, there were some mysteries, and it really felt like it was right on par with the rest of that, oh, we got to discover what the government's keeping from us type secret stuff. But, and this kind of ties into stuff Paul has mentioned and stuff that I've mentioned as well in kind of our general ranting and theorizing. We need to be a people with something to lose. That'll be like my bottom line as I go on to this diatribe here. Many people in the world today have very little to lose. I mean, people still have their family, what's left of their relationships that weren't destroyed over the division, over the thing, the injection. That divided a lot of people and destroyed relationships. Trust me, like, most of my extended family and I are not close anymore because of the division that created, because of the way that people treated each other over that, and there's more to be said about that. But mostly what most people have is their family or a job they've had a long time. Maybe you have a good relationship with your boss or you like your job or whatever, but it's not the way it used to be. The opportunity that was there, it was something that was invisible, but it was always there. And some people screwed around their life, and some people worked really hard, and some people fell all in between. But there was always this opportunity. There was always a chance for you to turn your life around and make it in America, in the West, especially in America. And we have watched generationally over the last 30, 40 years as America's opportunity has disappeared. And there are still many people driving Lexus and living in $1 million house, but that's not the norm anymore. The middle class is gone. Everyone's poor, okay? And people worry about that stuff because it's what they experience every day. So people were desperate for something. People have gotten to a point where they don't know what else to live for. Some people are just giving up, Relationships aren't working out anymore. We're all divided by feminism and then this weird reactionary incel red pill thing where all these guys think that it makes them cool to become like mammon rich. I call it mammon alpha. I'm going to put a video out about it in the next couple weeks. I got a bunch of new videos I'm going to be putting out. I'm really excited about it too. It's kind of like Cult of Khan original, where like I make little video essays or whatever. But I've got one. It's called Mammon Alpha, and it's about that. It's about dudes who think that like, well, because the world says that you got to be 6 foot, 6 pack, 6 figures, and so they're acting like, well, I don't like that, but they're secretly buying into it, trying to get 6 pack, 6 figures, trying to play into it, and it's just like, dude, don't become wealthy in sinful bullshit thinking that's going to value you, because you're 3 seconds away from the undoing of a world of darkness, and then you're going to have a bunch of useless junk that's not currency in the new world. You need treasures in heaven. We're moving into a new world. You got to be ready for it. More of what I want to talk about, the future, right? Since we just had this whole election shift, right on par with what David was saying. They cooked up this QAnon thing so they could begin to teach people that there was a plan, right? I have a little video about it called QAnon, the plan to deceive the world, or something like that. I think that's what it's called. Kind of a short documentary. But over the course of time that I spent following this thing, I realized how nonsensical it was. I wanted it so bad. The hopium sold me. I wanted to believe that there'd be debt forgiveness, that bad guys would get justice for what they've done, that we'd be able to fix the world and the poverty and everything. It was really a magical idea they sold. And then when Trump comes out to deliver, and all the deep state, the media was after him, and the government was trying to persecute him, and everybody's trying to shut him down, all this stuff's happening, it makes you feel like it's real. Because they said, oh, he's the guy fighting for you. And then look at him all working to try and get him. But they never could get him, right, And I remember this. We used to have this conversation all the time. My brother and I used to say it. And it's like, if they want you, you're dead, dude. Like, why is he so special? You know what I mean? Like, what makes Trump so special that, like, he can't be killed by the government when the government's, like, trying to persecute him? They're raiding his house. They're trying to jail him. They're trying to get him for documents in Russia and every other thing, every other stupid thing. One of the things I always hated was that there was so many people ragging on Trump for things that weren't real. He was a racist. He peed on hookers. He did all these things. They claimed he said there was Nazis were good people. All of the things they said about him that made him a bad person weren't true. And it became this like echo chamber of yapping idiots where anything that you said about Trump that wasn't praising him just was another voice yapping in the endless sea of idiots. They created that. They created that so that if you question anything he says or does, you are just a purple-haired moron. So I experienced this too, because as I started to shift after 2020, and I'm like, you know what? If this guy really is everything they said he was, why wouldn't he secure the election? Why wouldn't he prevent our country from falling into the hands of these obvious evil people who steal $150 billion and ship it off to Ukraine and shit? So obvious. One of the biggest crimes ever, and he's not guilty of it because, well, it wasn't me. I was out of office. It's like Paul said, Masonic theater. It's really well done. And then we get to this point where we're like, now look, imagine trying to criticize Trump today. You're going to be absolutely shut down by these people. He is galvanized. That's what I was saying they'd do for him. They'd galvanize him so he can't be questioned. And now we're rolling into it. Like, here, they fixed Trump. You can't question him, or you're a blithering liberal idiot. Okay, that's the perspective. But here's the other thing: Trump hasn't won your heart yet. Wait until you don't pay taxes anymore. Wait until you get some sort of crazy government stimulus check. Wait until he starts buying your favor with the stuff that matters most. Because that's what he's got the power to do. They discovered the biggest lithium deposit on Earth in like Arkansas a couple weeks ago. And we already know that the United States is sitting on the largest natural gas and oil deposit in the world, and we just not tapped it because it's strategic. The fact of the matter is they've been planning it. It's the long con, like David said. They've been beating us down for so long that when they reach out their hand to lift us up, we'll take it. And it's like when I opened this little section by saying we've got to have something to lose. They need to give us something to die for, something to live for. Trump can fix the economy. Trump can create opportunity where they took it away. He can bring it back. People can seize that opportunity. They can make something of themselves. In the next 2-3 years, I might be seated in a house with a little kid coming on the way, 2-3 years from now, my life could be totally different. That's the power of time, change, and the Lord. I could be sitting in my own house. My channel could be huge. You could be seeing me getting recommended on the feed. Wouldn't that be crazy? Maybe I was somebody different in 2-3 years. My life was big. And now I have something to die for, something to live for, something to lose. Very different than who I am today. Who I am today says, I got my ballot and I burned it the same day. Because I don't care. I don't have to care. But they'll give you a reason to care. And that's what you should be afraid of. That's what this whole thing is really about. I think this whole building Trump up as this enemy of the system is so that he can defeat the system and become the Messiah, just like David said, so that when something truly terrible is planned for us, he can lead us in and we'll trust him. He's our great hero. I've been saying it for a long time, and I said this last night. The thing that scares me most as we were approaching the final results and not knowing who was going to win, the thing that scared me the most was, if Kamala wins, it's just going to be another 4 years of slog. $4.50 for gas, $12 for Taco Bell. It was just going to be infuriating and annoying. But then it was like, if Trump wins, things are going to change. And I don't know, I don't know if it's going to be for the better, man. I can't believe I'm sitting here saying that. After all this time, it's like, our guy won, but now doesn't mean anything. Ain't worth anything. That's the craziest thing about it. If you asked me in 2016, would you go through all this again, and would you put all that time and energy in for Trump, for like you believed in America, conservatism, patriotism, the sham? It all boiled away over time, boiled off. And now I'm like sitting here thinking that like the only thing that we can be certainly proud of and grateful of, first of all, God seats and unseats kings. So whether it's for good or for bad or for fun or for misery or for lesson, for learning, the Lord has changed hands here to a different figurehead. And through this man, his will shall be done. As crazy as that sounds, man. You almost sound like one of the fans when you say something like that. But at the end of the day, I got to remember that God is in control. And I very much believe that this election and Donald Trump entering the White House again is going to be the vessel, the vehicle for humanity to reach its next stage of evolution. And I don't mean like Darwin, Marxist, I don't mean Jewish evolution. I mean repentance, right? To learn new things and to change the way we think requires some hard life lesson learning. And I think that this Trump experience is going to be between the first, the middle, and the end. And this whole, it feels like an Illuminati card game, right? They bring him in, he lame ducks. He doesn't get rid of the ATF. He doesn't use executive orders to repeal any bad Obamacare or anything. He fixes nothing, but he couldn't do anything. The system was fucked. And then we get Joe Biden. Oh, it's so terrible. And now he comes back in glorious fanfare to do everything he said he was going to do the first time. Only this time, it's for good. We'll see how it goes. That's all I got to say. Back to chat. Doctor Who. What's that going to do to you when you play it in VR? Guinea pigs. Where did that term come from? The pet or the use of the local population of Guinea as lab rats? Guinea pigs. But the problem is I'm rambling and then people leave comments and I don't remember what we were talking about. Wendy says there's no compromise. You don't kill babies. It's simple. And then she's got the super soaker emoji, which is awesome. If I ever have my free speech overlay, which who knows, maybe that'll be a product of Trump era. Maybe I'll be able to get that thing financed with my own paycheck. There will be a real gun emoji. In fact, we'll have every gun as an emoji so that you can pick, because some people are like, they swear by, they're like, no, I'm a Glock guy. And other people are like, no, I'm Smith & Wesson or whatever. And you can have yours as your personal gun emoji on there. David says, all the celebs promoting Kamala look guilty. And Elon just tweeted something about Pizzagate within the last few days. David, I totally agree with you. And I think that the big thing about it is just that they are so ahead of us. Like, Elon Musk is not a good guy either. Like, you want to believe he is. Well, because he's got Twitter and he helped Trump and he's getting rockets caught by the gantry. Big, beautiful rockets. Like, I'm with you. But it's like, I know Elon Musk was like, he was our bad guy. He was a Silicon Valley icon, liberal, and everybody loved him. And then he came over to the side of sanity, which was just to resist the nonsense they were propagating of wokeness on everybody. And they like hated him and all turned on him. But now we just love him because, you know, it's like, I understand that the enemy of my enemy is my friend, but only when they can actually help you. I mean, this guy is like Doctor Who put it perfectly when he and I were talking about it on Instagram the other day. Elon Musk. In fact, I'm not gonna show you, but I'm gonna read you guys the chat. I told him I would because it was awesome what he said. It was so concise, like in response to like Elon. And yeah, it's like I said, we've seen Elon kind of shift back and forth culturally between the left and the right, not because like you have to be one or the other. I'm neither, I guess. But it's just a weird thing with him, and Doctor Who put it perfectly. Give me just a sec to scroll it back. We were having fun with the fact that it had Halloween filters and certain words would like cause like leaves and pumpkins to explode. It was actually a pretty good time. All right, let's see. Okay, so we were talking about, you know, like studio setup, office, and like Wi-Fi, and he was talking about range extenders, and let me see if I can find it. We'll get there. He said that, yeah, he was working on like some extension for the Wi-Fi range extender, and I was like, oh, you could get Elon Musk's satanic Starlink, and he was like, no, no, thank you. Here we go. And I said, I'd be interested to know what the real threat is of Starlink. Like, what's even the plan with that? And Doctor Who was like, 1, they're on the dome drilling the firmament. A, ice, or B, crystal. I love how he covered that, too. It's like, he's on the firmament, which could be one of 2 things, by the way. 2, there are space lasers to finish off the rabble after robots are made the workforce. I like that one, too. Because it's like, yeah, they bring in an iRobot, replace all of us with droids, and then what's left of us just... Good. And then he says 3, it's just a network, in my opinion. But if you believe the reports and hearsay and add it up, Musk has many companies doing various things to push the cyborg and global control agenda. Speed tunnels, spacecraft, satellites, think tanks, brain chips, robots. All bad. I just said that was a great answer. I feel like you covered all the bases. So when somebody does it better than you, what are you going to do? A shout out to Doctor Who for that synopsis. I don't trust Elon. And I think that we're going to find out that there's a certain caste of people in the world that are of us, like a tier. We're living in an oligarchy of society, like, or a hierarchy in which normal, regular, plebeian humans like me or you are not allowed to have elite status. It's a big club and you ain't in it, says George Carlin, and he was one of them. That's why he was able to have a show where he comes out telling you it's a club that you ain't in, you know? You know, it's funny. Water's always just like funny to me because my buddy Dean used to call it chemicals because it is like H2O. He's like, I'm over here drinking chemicals, and he'd be like drinking water all the time. And it was like one of those like younger child memories, like middle school or something. It was just really funny and always stuck with me. Wendy says, they all need an encounter with our Messiah and need to feel his love. Amen. I think they need to have a rushed encounter with the Messiah. Like all these bad guys need to have an expedited encounter with the Messiah so they can really feel the love. That's how I say it. David says Elon and Trump are against the deep state. Deep state stole an election, tried to kill Trump. He's on our side. Now look, he's exposing the pedos. People will love him. I know where you're coming from, David. I think that is happening in reality. Like people are finding out about Diddy and others, and people are finding out about these concepts, but I'm worried that they're exposing themselves in a creative way. Like one of the good examples I always come to is recently during the Diddy thing, there was this whole like court papers that leaked that talked about this thing they called the egg test. And we joked about it, and it was all fun and games about you got to shove an egg up your butthole, a boiled egg, and like it needs to not get crushed, which means you need to have like bored yourself out enough to make it work so you can show up to Diddy's freak party, okay? Terrible shit. It's just horrible. All you can do is laugh to keep from crying. But seriously, no, like, this came out, okay? And right after it came out, a bunch of pictures came out on the internet of Russell Brand with Diddy holding a boiled egg and, like, laughing, and, like, one of him, like shoving it in his mouth. And, like, come on, man. We know what that egg is. And somebody like Russell Brand is like a millionaire, and he has like a successful podcast, and he has this total celebrity chill life, no real expectations. He doesn't have any like political obligations. All he can do is talk and have fun, and that's good for him or whatever. But he's totally a Diddy egg test guy, and he's not getting any flack for it. I don't see anybody talking about it. I don't see anybody going after him. Every time I leave a comment, YouTube bans me for 24 hours because I'm just not allowed to talk. And so this is the problem I have. Elon Musk is like, you know, they set themselves up to be the hero so that a real hero doesn't arrive. And Elon Musk has been one of the richest people on earth for many, many years now. And I, as much as I want to believe that there are good people in the world, or people can change sides, maybe they can. Maybe they do. I could be wrong. I'd love to be wrong. But I feel like we're watching a theater troupe. And it's all the same cast of people. Like, remember when Trump was in 2016, back in the 2016 to 20 era, and he had that perfect phone call with Zelensky, and it's like, that was way before the Ukraine war even happened. There was already Ukraine corruption with Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and the Burisma Holdings and all that. And then Trump was like, you're going to need to investigate. And then they're like, we need to investigate you for talking to Zelensky. Wait, Zelensky, isn't he that guy that's like in high heels dancing on that gay music video and then plays the president in a TV show? But then he's actually the president of that country. And now he's got 150 billion US dollars or more. You see what I mean? It's like, it's like when you see another movie starring Tom Cruise. It's like, oh, they didn't pick a random guy off the street this time? Well, you know, that Tom Cruise guy, he was a Scientologist, but, he changed his ways. It's like, come on, guys, I can't follow it anymore. I know where you're coming from, David. I totally agree with you that, like, it's working to a point to raise the awareness of people. But I worry why they're raising the awareness of people and for what means. Because what'll happen is they'll expose us to something. They'll be like, we caught the human traffickers, but which ones, How do we know they don't just send Diddy down and keep Russell Brand? You know what I mean? I saw Russell with the egg with Diddy, but I don't hear anything about Russell going down. You see what I mean? It's hard for me to feel like justice is being served when, like, most people are getting away and all the people who have been executed are just walking around doing what they do every day. I understand the level of illusion that they're working, but I think most of it is just because we're going to win. We're going to get our money back. Everything's about us and the stuff we're going to get. That's what I worry the most about with this plan and everything, because it all has to do with us getting our lives back, us getting money, us getting debt forgiveness, everything that is about us getting material prosperity. And, like, I know that that's really incentivizing, it's really enticing, but in this world you will have tribulation. But be of good cheer, for Christ has overcome the world. I want so badly for there to be a gospel message of prosperity, charisma, But my life has only gotten more difficult when I decided to start following Christ, and that means that the reality of the world is that it's tough. That's why this is a carnal, physical place, because it's a tough, horrible, shitty place. And we have a lot of stuff to overcome, and I think that we will. But I don't think that we should get carried away in the idea that one man or one movement of people is going to be the solution. We're going to see things beyond our wildest dreams, probably in our lifetime, and they will make these events, such as like who wins one election, absolutely dwarfed in comparison. The power of God and what he has planned for humanity is incomprehensible. I just want to make sure everybody tries to remember. I got to tell myself more than anyone to try to keep our focus on higher things, the things of the Lord and the things that are more important. Because for me, all that matters is like R129, and I never even cared before. Isn't that weird? Before I got serious about being a follower of Christ, I did not give a shit about house or car or money or status. And once I decided to follow God, all of a sudden these things start knocking on the door that I never heard of before. I never cared about a cool car, and now I want one. And I'm trying to manage that. Trying to manage what I want. The Lord made us creative and intrinsically valuable people who have this desire for our position of power that we were designed to have, but then at the same time, it corrupts us. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. So can you have a nice car? Yeah. But do you have the right mindset to have a nice car? That's our problem. That's my problem. And I think that's with all of this stuff. If we could accept an outcome that meant that we all ended up worse off financially, but that the world was spiritually better, I'd take it. If we could honestly say, like, if we could believe it and if it was true, like if it was a movement that was going to save the world, it probably wouldn't make us rich too. It'd probably cost a lot of money. And that's just kind of the way it works in the world. It's kind of the equivalent exchange thing. I see a text here, or a chat bubble here from someone that I've never seen before over here. Must be one of our new people. I've lost it now because I've been rambling so long. Haven't given you guys any of a chance to talk. We got Verkjoon? Verkoon? I really want to know how to pronounce that. Verkjoon? 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 It'd be cool if that was like European and your name was like Verkjoon. And you're like a Viking or something. Anyway, Verk says, yeah, it's hard to decide sometimes to what extent you should live and let live versus taking action because it's the right thing to do. Yep, that's like what I was saying earlier. Like, how do we know when it's time to like grab something and turn some tables, you know? That's part of our learning process to, you know, determine, Doctor, what are you angry about? I don't know. I'm not really angry. I just get torqued up a little bit. Old David, don't worry about that guy. $1 million before or after inflation? Elizabeth asked him, releasing new music. I think we talk about this from time to time. I'm like just really bad at finishing stuff. I guess you could say. The thing about the album is, you know, I learned so much during the process of working on these records, like making songs. I learned a lot about it because I've never gone to school for any music production. I have no education in hardly anything. And so during the process, I've learned a lot of things. And one of the things I've learned is that there are a lot of, they're called VSTs or other terms would be like plugins. And basically they're like things that make noise. That's the best way to describe it. And there's different ones, different quality and different cost associated. And I learned that there's a just a ton of them. Really cool sounding pianos and different instruments, different sounds. And some sound more real and some sound more, you know, synthesized. And for various different reasons, you might use one. I don't have a whole lot of those. And I've thought about investing in plugins because I just feel like I'm kind of bored with the sounds I have to make music with. And there's just a lot to be said about the time and investment in that. And I do want to make more music. In fact, I have like this whole album that's like mostly done, but I wish it was like really good. I feel like if I take a little bit more time to grow the channel and invest in it, that the releases of the songs can be a little bit bigger and a little more impactful, not only to help grow the channel, but in terms of like to produce something. I feel like I just don't want to shortcut the quality. I don't want to put out this one. Like I've got this song that I've been working on for a while, and it's kind of the next one on the list is called Operation Paperclip. And as you guys know, that's like about, you know, after the Great War and all the scientists getting sent, like Nazis, and getting sent to the U.S. and Russia and stuff to be drafted in and like pardoned for war crimes, put to work on rocket construction and all this stuff. And like, you know, we all allowed that to happen. It plays into part of the story about like we don't trust the narrative about the moon landing and about space and about the shape of the world and all that. And it's a song it's really like close to heart and really important to me. And the instrumental was created by my brother, my older brother, and we like don't really talk anymore, and it's kind of sad. And I just don't want to screw it up. You know what I mean? One of the part that's killing me is there's like bars, there's like rap bars, and I just can't get the tonality right. I have to like feel it, you know? The day will come, the Lord will give it to me, and I'll record it, and I'll be happy. And then from there, I'm going to work with my buddy Cody Andrews. He's a really cool guy, and he's done some music videos in the past that looked so good. And I really want to do like a fake moon landing music video for the song. So it's like I'm going to be kind of like the teacher in the lab coat talking about the story. And then I'm also going to be like in the spacesuit on the moon. And I want it to be pretty good production quality. So I initially was like, let's do an album. And then I found that I'm more comfortable as like a commentator, and the Sunday service teachings come really naturally. So that kind of like starting off as kind of a talk guy, a talk commentator person is easier for me. And it's something that I can do more affordably and more naturally with less like grind. And then when it comes to the album, I know what it's going to take to make it great, but I want it to be great. And so everyone will get there, and it'll be like, wow, I'm glad we waited. That's honestly how I feel about it. So there will be music, I promise. In fact, with you saying that, I've also started to plan an actual work schedule for the channel, which is something I didn't think I would ever do. But, you guys have been so good to me, and the channel has been growing pretty steady. Even YouTube is like sending me notifications like, you just hit a watch time goal. People are getting excited about your channel, and that means that the algorithm is telling YouTube to start recommending me soon. As long as I don't brush too many people the wrong way, I could potentially end up being part of the discussion, which is what I want more than anything. I don't care about being the guy that everybody listens to. I don't care about even being like, I don't have anything to justify why you should listen to me. I'm just a guy. But I feel like a lot of times people are talking and I just want to ask that one question that no one's asking, And if I can get up onto the board, if I can get my head in there and start yelling stuff, I'd be like, that one guy over there said that we should just do away with whatever entirely. Just let that other opinion be heard. I want to move the Overton window. I live in a district that is hotly contested every 2 years for Congress. And right now, there's a gal called Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez. And she has basically beaten Joe Kent, who's he's like the guy that should be winning because my county is like completely conservative and there's just no way, it's not authentic. But Joe Kent is like a veteran, like a special operator. His wife was killed overseas. He's got experience and knowledge, and he's just the guy for the job, and he couldn't get it because he couldn't beat her. Anyway, I'm thinking about running for Congress. I know it's not going to work, but I just keep imagining in my head in my district, just because I hate seeing all their damn signs everywhere. I'm going to put con for Congress. I'm going to run for Congress. I'm going to run like a shitty grassroots campaign in my own county, and I'm just going to try to win. You only have to win your county. That's how it works. So you win your county, you win your freedom, and then imagine me in the House of Congress, what I would do to this place. They don't even want to imagine that. Anyway, I'm just kind of spitballing, but anyway, the goal would be to like continue to invest in the channel, right? That I could continue to grow the channel and start getting serious about work, because it's easy to just like get tired after work and just like put on a movie or something or watch YouTube. And I like watching YouTube, trust me, I love these guys. But I got to find a healthy balance where I can put some actual time in to develop this channel. Like one of the things I thought is we need a new channel banner for the top that says when I'm streaming and stuff. And I brought this up before, but I hadn't like scheduled time for it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working an actual like time constraint schedule for the channel to make sure the channel starts getting increments of development. And that will include working on the album too. So I'm glad that you brought that up, Elizabeth. MK Ryan, howdy, y'all. What's up, my man? Welcome in. You were not even late tonight. But then again, the show starts an hour later now because of daylight savings. But I guess that's only for Wendy and people in Arizona. Doctor Who says 6-pack level fitness will help if there's a reset. I 100% agree. I think that there's no such thing as a time to be out of shape. I mean, I get it, like after Thanksgiving and, or the end of the year, you've been just ramming down holiday food with the relatives, I can understand that. But there's a time and place for everything. I've also, as you guys know, Monday, we tried some new food. I think we're going to start doing that too. So part of the channel is I think Monday, you're going to get like a Monday munchie. And I think I'm just going to call that Guys Gotta Eat, because that's what I called the first one. I think we're just going to start calling it, because I like to do, like, everything's just incremental. Sunday service 1, Sunday service 2, and then I start main character level 1, level 2. I think we're going to start doing Guys Gotta Eat. So we're going to have Guys Gotta Eat 1, and then next week, I don't want to spoil it, but there's a place that, like, as you guys may know, I eat Applebee's way too much. And I've been cutting back on it, trying to be more frugal. I'm wasting all my money on food. But yeah, apparently Applebee's is getting a run for its money from another international similar kind of neighborhood restaurant chain. So Monday we will head into the restaurant chain in question, and I'm going to order up some items over there, and we're going to review those items and talk about how they are. And it's just one of those things where I'm going to kind of develop, like, each little segment has its own little catchphrase. So we'll call it Guys Gotta Eat. And then one of the things I noticed about that was I had this inclination to say, some people get paid to do this. So I think I'm just going to start saying that on every one. I'm going to like pull out some food and then be like, guys get paid to do this. So we're going to see how it goes. And that's just for fun. I'm trying to like expand my horizon. So Monday, we're going to start doing food review Monday. Obviously, we do main character Wednesday, Sunday service on Sunday, and I think Friday we're going to get a fitness video. So I'm going to start doing either Thursday, before, after, whatever I got to do to get one, because Friday, I work Fridays, and it's just going to be impossible to do one on the same day, unless I get up at like 3 in the morning and like run. And like, good morning, everybody. It's Friday. It's 3 in the morning. You better be, you know what I mean? I don't know how that's going to go. But I think we'll get like a Friday fitness motivation, Monday food, Wednesday main character, Sunday service. And that's like, what, 4 or 5 videos a week. And then we're starting to get legit, like a real YouTube channel. Look at that. All right. David says, I completely agree with you. The young disenfranchised people are crying for a hero and they have one ready to save the day. Yeah, that's basically where we're at. Trump has become the hero that people deserve. Not the hero that they wanted, but the hero that they deserve. And that is because at the end of the day, Trump is a wall toucher. That's all I got to say about that. You know, and nobody pretends to do that. I've never been there. No one ever invited me there. No one ever offered to pay for my airfare to go there. And I bet you if I touched that wall, I'd probably become possessed or something. That's all I'm saying. Oh, that's what a long day's work will do you. I feel like I need to go lay on one of those tables where they grab your neck with a rope or whatever and go, chiropractic adjustment. Cage Fighter says, yes, David, and older people want to enjoy what they work their whole lives to earn. Yep, absolutely, Cage Fighter. People spent their whole lives working for this system. Some people did better and some people did worse, but we're all at this point where if you're young, you feel like you're never going to get to enjoy your life. And if you're old, you feel like your whole life was stolen from you. We're in a bad situation. We need to change. That's where Trump comes in, right? He's going to fix it. MK Ryan says, I'd say I'm 90% earlier than I have been recently. You're fantastically earlier. You got here with like a whole hour to spare. The reason I do 2 hours is so there's a first and a second hour. We're not quite that legit yet. So we're like, we're going into the second hour now. And there's like segments of some guy that edits it, transitions. But like, 2 hours gives us like kind of two hours to work with. If you didn't make the first one, you can join us here for the second. You can blast through the chat, or you can like go back and catch up, and it's all good. We're just here to chill. And yeah, that's to me, that's what makes it so chill, is that there's no schedule. You guys can be here whenever you feel the need. And obviously, being out on the West Coast and doing 6 p.m., it's late. It's like we're starting at 8 o'clock East Coast, or 9 o'clock on the East Coast. So that's crazy late for most people. So I think with the fitness videos on Friday, you guys will start seeing those in the morning. And I'll try to record. I think I'm going to get a little ring light, like a battery one for the car, so I can do the car food reviews. And because that way I can go get the food at the place. And I would go in the restaurant, but I just feel like that's so... I don't want to be one of those guys. They see those people that are like TikTok. Everyone has to be like, look at me. Like, I'll just get the food out of there, and then I'll eat it and talk about it. That'll be how I do it. Jay says, I think one of the biggest problems that is mostly overlooked is that the colleges and universities teach woke, socialism, DEI, critical race theory, climate change, and most importantly, atheism. And I agree with you totally. And I think that what sucks about it is that it's always these impressionable minds. I work at this arena, and I'm kind of in a weird place in my life because I do the maintenance job, and I'm 30. Not that I'm old, but I'm just like, I'm not a 20-year-old. And like all my coworkers are like 19. Well, I guess they're 21-ish, most of them, because they sell beer out of the concession place. And it's just weird, you're around, when you're my age, around 20-somethings. It feels weird. I'm sure you guys had this own experience, but this generation I can speak only about, because the disconnect between my generation and the people that are 20 now is so huge, because my generation rode around on bikes and didn't have cell phones. My generation waited for shows to come out on TV. And I'm sure all of you guys had that, but it ended during this generation. So now there's kids that are born in 2003 at my work, which is just so crazy to think about. And they didn't have those experiences that we had, riding bikes and following railroad tracks to the outskirts of town and stuff. That wasn't their childhood. They're different people than us. And then they're already like lacking on all that good foundational shit. Not everybody, but you guys know what I mean. When I say everybody, I only mean everybody I'm talking about. Otherwise, I'm not talking about them. But yeah, like they're lacking the foundational stuff generally, and then they're like taught all this cultural brain rot and skibbity and all kinds of dumb stuff, and then they go to college and there's all this pressure. You're young, you don't know who you are, and there's like adults there with you. You're like, you just get out of high school and there's like grown ass people walking around and people with money and people with like big time stuff going on, and you're just like this little college kid, and then they teach you that you're like, you're a racist, you're hateful, you're ugly, or whatever, and they're like, you need to fix your bigoted white hatefulness, and you're just like, you don't even know what to do. So you're just like, oh shit. Like, I see it. Like, I got coworkers that are like 21, these like girls and stuff, and they're all, it's like, they think they're like, you guys have no idea what an extremist is. Like, they'll be all upset because like they hear like, I don't want to wake up tomorrow and find out I'm a sex slave. I'm a breeder wife. Or like, wake up because Trump became president. You are a breeder wife. Like, it's such nonsense. Like, Trump doesn't even care about abortion. If he actually cared, he wouldn't constantly fence sit about it. He's like, no, we sent it back to the states. In other words, I refuse to take a stance. You know, it's just, I think I tiptoe so much at work because what I say on like a regular basis is like considered to be like very extreme. Like, my regular worldview stuff is extreme, and I don't want to freak these people out. But they grew up, went to college, like at Seattle, whatever, universities or whatever. And then they got taught all these weird ideas, and now they're like extra crazy. Because if they were in the middle and they met me, like I remember one time, it's a terrible thing. And I might get banned for saying, I can't say it on here. Maybe we'll do like a Patreon video. I'll tell you the story. But I used to be a punk rocker when I was a teenager, like spiky hair and spiky jackets. I've talked about it with you guys. I've actually got some cool stuff from the old days. I've shown a little bit. But yeah, one time, okay, we were all battleground, like hick town punk kids. We'd never been from big cities or been anywhere big. We were like little small town punks. And one day this guy moved into town who was like a hard punk from like LA, who'd like been in the big city. And of course, you know, it's like we're late for the real punk movement, but it doesn't matter. If you're like a white trash kid with like crappy clothes and you go to shitty shows, you're a punk. So this guy moves out to battleground for whatever reason. His parents probably were trying to keep him out of crime. And anyway, we met him, and it's like, here he comes out to this bum town, and I know that he's like from LA or whatever, so people are like, in his mind, oh man, everyone out here is a fucking redneck. And I remember he was like walking through the hallway, and I saw him. He had like a purple mohawk that was like made of dreadlocks, and I saw him, and I was like, I've never seen that guy before. And I saw him see me, and he was like, oh, holy crap, there's punks out here, fuck. And he like came over and introduced himself. We became like, you know, mildly friends. We weren't really friends, but you know, when your friendship is, when your worldview is like based on music and stuff, it's like easy to become friends with other people because you like see allies in your own unit. So we became friends and we hang out. And one time we were sitting at the park, and I was just talking to him about stuff, and I offhandedly said something that was, this will be one of those patreon.com/thecult of membership is free. And I'll leave you guys, I'll tell you guys the whole story, but I offhandedly said something that was like incredibly racist, like as a joke, not intentionally trying to be racist, just because when you are not raised LGBT and woke, you don't even think about the shit you're saying. You just don't. There's no reason to filter. Who cares? I'm like a redneck in a bum town. And yeah, so I said something. His eyes got big, and he looked at me and he was like, that's the most racist thing I've ever heard. I think it's because of my delivery. I just concisely said something that I figure might even still be true. Actually, no, it's not. That's terrible. I take it back. It was a joke, but the way I delivered it was like it wasn't a joke. Like I just rationally was like, oh, well, blah, blah, blah. And he thought it was the most racist thing he's ever heard. And he thought it was funny because in his mind, even the punk kids, even the progressive punk rockers are racist in this redneck town. I didn't see him too much after that. Go figure. Jay says, 18-year-old kids going to college don't have a chance. Yeah, I can't even imagine. My brain was such a sponge when I was 18. You know, I know there are people that are 18 that are like really macho and getting it going and like, good for you, man. I'm proud of you. And like, I hope you live a long and full life. But dude, when I was 18, I was like 12. Like intellectually, I've always been pretty with it, but like, man, I never could get society to make sense to me. I've not gotten better at it. I've only gotten worse. I used to be like more popular, had more friends, successful band, bunch of girlfriends, and now I'm like a weird internet edgelord, you know? And I'm happy with it. but it's different, like you only realize that the more you understand humanity, the less you can relate to it. At least that's been my experience. I'm sure you guys are the same way. It's kind of like what I was talking about with like Josh Feezer and like the punk rock thing. We were friends because something we were both interested in brought us together. But when it comes to actual beliefs, when the rubber hits the road, we don't see eye to eye. That's what's so nice about this community. That's what I appreciate so much about all of you guys, is that how we become friends, how we know each other, is about what's most important first. And then we can agree or disagree or talk about it or get to the bottom of it about everything else. You know what I mean? Like, well, is it the little season or not? Is this the fall of America or the birth of a new chapter? Are politics good or bad? Should we engage in democracy or not? See what I mean? We can talk about that stuff because we don't have to go to war over it. Our conflict is not between whether it's the Texans or the Cowboys, you know what I mean? Like, whose team is it going to be? We don't have to fight about that. You can like one team and I can like another team, and we can agree to disagree and be fine, because what we really care about, what's really important, our identity is discovered. Our loyalty, our like following Christ is the most important thing. That's kind of why I think I was so shocked about old David going away, and rest in peace, old David, because it was like, when have you not, at 55 years, he said, of following scripture, like, and studying the word in different religions, like, you've never had somebody like say something that you thought was wrong, like, and I feel bad, man. Like, at least send me a message and be like, man, I really feel like you're off course here. Like, let's talk about it. Like, I would have I'd even gone on like a phone call with him after how much energy he had devoted, I just thought. But that's the thing. Like, we're going to have disagreements. We're going to have stuff we have to get to the bottom of, and I will be wrong. I heard Paul talking about it earlier, like evergreen content that lasts forever. I'm the opposite. My content it's fall. It's crunchy leaves on the ground. Step on them to enjoy the crunch, and then they're gone. You know what I mean? Like, my opinions are subject to change. The world is subject to change. I can respect so much the efficiency and the eloquency of people like Paul and stuff. I wish that I could be a little bit more like that. I'm striving to be more like that. But in my nature, I'm a bit of a chaotic sort. And I will be wrong, and I will say things that I regret, I'm sure, and I will learn my lesson like anybody else. But I believe in being authentic more than anything. I just want to be my real self more than anything. Because for so many years, I've had to hide who I was for fear of infuriating people or alienating people or losing friends. And what this community itself has taught me in the last year is that the most important thing in the world is the truth. And because of that, I've made some incredible friends, and we've started an incredible journey here with the Cult of Con. When I started this, there was no Cult of Con, and now there's like a whole lot of you guys. We're almost at 600. Thanks for being here, for real. Wendy says, put all our trust in Father. He tells us not to fear. Wendy says, gas was $2.85 by me the other day. I was like, oh, what are they planning? Yeah, did you hear the stock market went up like 1,500 points as soon as Trump was announced? They all waited. Because it's part of that swing, that pendulum, and like now we're going, and you know what? I hate to say it, it's the worst thing ever, but it's like, I'm okay with it being cheap for a minute. If it's all out of our control, at least it can be more pleasant. That's the least of it. If my gas is cheaper, then I can justify an R129. Look at me. I'm making it all make sense. David says, definitely, Wendy, we're on the winning team. I just fear for others. People are so lost in the nonsense. Yep, I'm with you, man. It is a strange time to be alive. And people are really lost. I'm lost too, man. We're all lost, I think. Some of us have got like night vision on, but it's still really foggy. It's like it's not that much better. Coming from where we're coming from, it's like you're following the ultimate guide. Narrow is the way. As long as you're on the narrow way, it doesn't matter what hell or high water comes, Christ goes before you. That's the key to all of this. I try to be like, balance myself out, because I'm kind of a crass, critical, bitter, I'm not like the most agreeable or nice guy, like, and maybe one day I'll be the worst among us. Like, maybe one day the world will get to the point where everyone's like, will you shut that guy up? He's such an asshole. He's so critical and he hates everything, and then when I'm the worst thing, we can eliminate me and the world will be peaceful, It's just that, like, when I see all the disaster and all that, everyone's a narcissist and thinks that they run the world and everyone's just so wretched. I'm like, well, what harm am I doing? I'm not hurting anybody. Here I am. David says Elon's got some transhuman microchip evolution in the works. 100%, dude. 100%. I saw a monkey playing video games the other day. That's not right. It's like telepathically playing Pong. Cage Fighter says that Elon story doesn't add up. He owns and runs everything on 2 classes at Stanford, and he has time to play with Trump and attend the Olympics and have all those kids. He also said that when he was on Joe Rogan the other day, he said that he spent most of his college years playing Quake instead of doing his classes. But then, there's so many people who got through college who just screwed around, you know what I'm saying? They didn't even actually do their work and they somehow got the degree out of the deal. So good for them, I guess. David said, he's luring everyone in, pretending he's all about freedom and fighting the deep state, but also wants to put a chip in your brain, get everyone a Tesla, and pretend space is real. We're definitely going to find out soon enough. I guarantee you that Elon's rocket program has something to do with the dome and with aliens and with something, dude. Because this is where I was talking about earlier. Maybe this is since we're now in the second half, we can talk about it. In the past, I have historically discussed the fact that the Bible says that there's a holy city of Jerusalem. And it talks about it. Here, give me one sec here. Anyway, it talks about this holy city of Jerusalem that comes with Christ. He brings it in. It's like his travel trailer, but it's giant. It's supposed to be 1,500 miles or 1,500 kilometers. I'm not the detail breakdown. We've all watched videos about it, but maybe we'll do that again. Maybe next week we'll talk about it because, we're on this kingdom saga on Sunday service. So maybe next week we'll talk about the kingdom. We'll look at that new app from John Levi. I know he's been kind of a controversial figure lately with his new theory and stuff. And I do kind of want to talk about John Levi a little bit because I know Paul was talking about it. This is what I meant by I want to be part of the discussion. I've been watching John Levi for years. He's one of my biggest inspirations. He's one of the main reasons I started my channel in the first place because I wanted to be a part of the Tartaria thing. I wanted to talk about the old world. Before I even knew what was going on, I was like, dude, this is something special. I want to be a part of this. And he always used to say, thank you for being here in his little voice. And that made me want to thank people for being here because I always felt really welcomed when he would say that I actually felt that he appreciated it. And I was like, how can I thank people? How can I tell people I'm glad that you're watching my stuff and you don't know how much it means to me that you watch this stuff? Oh, thank you for being here. So I picked that up from him. A great inspiration of mine. I love that guy. And I think the biggest problem with somebody like John is that he is a sensitive soul, a very empathetic soul. And I know that he sees so much darkness and hurt in the world, especially at the hands of organized Christianity. It's very hard for him to be the kind of person who has all this higher knowledge and then also to shrink himself down and accept Jesus as the main king who has it all figured out. It's hard for a lot of people because everyone else's interpretation of Jesus, including probably John, is that it's like pastors trying to rape you and stuff. It's so hard to get away from the disgusting churchianity, garbage religiosity of the whole thing and to embrace this King Arthur style Jesus, where he's a valiant king on a horse with a sword. People don't think of him like that. That's the kind of person you have to think of in order to understand his character. It's like how he says meekness. The meek shall inherit the earth. Christ is the most meek character in all truth and fiction. There's never been a guy who had more power to utterly destroy you and totally won't because he loves you. He's trying to help you get fixed so that you can be strong, so that you can be valuable and pure and good and righteous and all these things. He's only wrecking himself for your sake. This alpha mega king, If John could understand that guy instead of just a robe guy who's a guru who says wise things. They've diminished Christ so much to this dirty hippie. No wonder John doesn't fear him. So John's theories they start to evolve into maybe this is a dark civilization. Maybe this is some kind of earth world kingdom that collapsed and maybe there is no millennial reign or whatever. I never heard him admit that he thought it was, but it's just dude, when his head is on all of the statues and all the artwork, you got to wonder who these people think their king is. Paul made a great point too. He was all of these buildings, they exemplify the splendor and the beauty and the grandeur of the most excess. And in anyone's mind in the world we live in now, this fallen world, it's well, that's not, because we have scarcity in our mind, excess seems like something wrong. Because excess implies someone else has less. That's what our world does now. Those people were living in a world of excess for everyone. That's why everything was so advanced, because no one was in poverty. Our world today has governments and systems and laws on paper that actively work to make you poor and to make you sick and to fucking kill you. That's not how Christ's kingdom works. So, people are looking at buildings like that, like, how could they have done something? Like someone even like John, who recognizes the impossibility of it all, but then he won't give credit to Christ for bringing humanity to a point where they could finally advance enough with their culture and their artwork and their compassion and empathy and community that then they could be like, well, we don't waste resources sending billions to Ukraine for a useless fucking war. Instead, we built a mega cathedral to honor our king and to make everybody happy. It's just a different people. And it's like, maybe if I can get into the discussion, I can say something like, maybe if John doesn't like my delivery, I could get better at delivering. Or maybe somebody like John just needs to hear that diatribe. That it's like, dude, remember, you aren't those people anymore. Those people are different from us. We are dirt. That's basically it. Yeah, I know they got left. Some of them got left and their whole society blew up, but they're a different people because of who their leaders are. The highest guy among us we just elected yesterday. Compare and contrast. Jesus and Donald Trump. You can do that on your own. Doctor Who says the Tesla logo is the beam hitting the dome. This is the shit I love, man. We're going right now. I already know what it is because I've seen it. But it totally is, dog. It is. And it's cool because they make the distinction. Look, there's the actual dome and then there's the impact on it. That's wild, man. Yeah, that's wild. That's what it is. 100%, That's what it is. I'm convinced. Oh, where did the chat go? That's another thing we're working on. So I'm preparing, it takes time to come up with money, but I'm preparing some investments too into advancing the technology so that the stream can get better too. We can get to the point where like these established guys, we've got like overlays and it'll be like, hello, whoever just became a member and it'll be like, yeah. Maybe. I don't know how much of that I want to play into. I kind of like that we do our own thing. We'll see what you guys have to say as I start getting, I got to get another monitor and computer and stuff. It's just going to take a little bit, but we'll get there. Starlink logo has a lot of 666 symbolism as well. Jay says that Elon and JFK Jr. are both deep staters along with Trump and Kamala. Yeah, I mean, I think they're all in the same club, right? At the end of the day, it's like what we were saying earlier with Carlin, where it's like, it's a big club and you ain't in it. And I think that's very true. That stands to be like, that's the case with basically everybody over a certain threshold in society. So like you could maybe, like, I don't know, I'm not going to ask any of you guys to like say what you make for money, but I'm sure some of you out there are in relatively decent positions of authority in your field or something that you've worked your way up to become, manager of something or a foreman in some way or an inspector of some capacity. But nobody's ever the main boss. You know what I mean? Nobody ever gets to be the guy that owns the main thing. My brother is in a band, pretty successful band actually, called Bonefish. It's really cool. You guys should check it out sometime. And they got a gig to play at this like mansion party for this rich mega millionaire guy. It's his daughter's sweet 16 or something. And he had like a garage with like 50 supercars in it and stuff. My brother was talking about it, and I guess I can't remember exactly what it is, but if I'm not mistaken, I think he invented like the collapsible bottles. Like they start as like little pouches and they like inflate into water bottles and Coca-Cola and everything. So he didn't, I guess his dad invented it like 50 or 70 years ago or something like that. And so that guy's like a super millionaire. And those people are just not like the rest of us. I don't consider that to be a level that normal people can get to. And the main reason would be like, yeah, his dad made money for Coke. We don't know the details on that. But like, let's say you came up with something really smart worth a lot of money. They would steal it from you, I promise. I mean, obviously I can't prove it, but it's like those guys who invented water-powered cars and disappeared. I mean, they did that to the guy who invented the diesel engine. You know that? The German authorities back in the turn of the century there, this guy's last name is Diesel. That's why the engine's called that. He's a German guy. And he was offered a better price by the British government for the patents and for the prototypes. They're like, we want that engine. We'll pay you double. basically. And so he got on a ferry to go to England to sell them his designs, and he never made it. He killed himself. So that's been going on as long as you can remember. It's like from Hillary Clinton all the way up to a random dude who tries to like build a water-powered car. They'll eliminate you if you pose too much of a threat. They'd rather just suppress you and keep you quiet and stuff, as long as you don't invent anything game-changing. I think I heard JT and one of the other guys, can't remember who it was, he was talking to, and they were talking about this, that like there's laws on paper in the United States that are based on national security, that like if you were to create some kind of new outstanding energy technology, like a fuel source or a way to power things that was disruptive, like a disruptive technology, they would ban it from existence and seize control of it. It's illegal. So like, let's say you invented a car that powered by pure water. You just pour water in and it goes. They would shut you down because that has the potential to destroy the entire economy. Energy is the number one traded thing in the universe right now. Fossil fuels, electricity, and everything associated with energy. So if you were to like stick a wrench in that operation, you'd basically destroy the world economy or liberate it. Either way, that's not acceptable. Albert Pike, that's the fat Mason guy I was referring to. I thought you were referring to Trump, to be honest. When you said fat Mason guy, I thought you were talking about Trump. He could be. Have you seen Barron? If there's such thing as like Nephilim among us, Barron Trump, dude, they're going to introduce that guy as, well, he's part of the tall white race. They're a proto. They created us and seeded us here in the realm less than 20,000 years ago. It was right after the fall of the Second Ice Age. Like, it's going to be some shit like that, dude. It turns out that President Donald Trump was actually of the specific royal bloodlines, dating back to the oldest of times and the oldest archival secrets. World War III shenanigans. I hope not. You know, I saw somebody post earlier, they're like, the last thing I want is to wake up 3 years from now dead in a foxhole in some shithole country that I had nothing to do with. And I was just like, well, at least now you'll know that you'll die dead in a foxhole fighting monster aliens in the next 2 years. Maybe, I don't know. I tend to think all of this is about getting us to a point that they can introduce a mega threat to us to unite us together. But no one's going to unite with everything to lose, right? Like, if you show me a UFO, I'm going to be like, damn it, dude, just vape me, dude. I got nothing to lose. But if my garage has an R129, if I have a garage and it has an R129, and my wife comes out and she's like, come on, it's time for dinner. I'm like, oh, just a little bit more. And I'm wrenching in there. That life is something to fight for. I get it. I know what they're doing. I'm smart. I'm smart enough to see where this is going. Whatever it is that you're lacking in your life, MK Ryan, my man, Demon Erasers, that's who he was hanging out with. JT and Demon Erasers. I think it was a JT's mixtape that I was watching. Really cool. I love that new series he's doing. It's really awesome. Wendy says, I don't ever want to be a boss again. I'm happy where I'm at. Well, that's the thing, right? We're all different. We all have kind of a different place that would be our, like, best use of our time and energy and where we'd best be fitted. Some people are meant to be in charge. It has its pros and cons. And some people are better to fill a middle. And some people are good at just, like, stacking bags of sand or whatever. And that's not a bad thing. If we could learn to embrace our strengths and acknowledge and you know, identify our weaknesses, we could strengthen each other like the body, like how Christ always talks about, for us to be like a unit, you know. TL. Welcome in. That's a new one. You should change your name to T-Bell. Like Taco Bell. That's what we call it at my house. We call it T-Bell. TL says, my in-laws are in ocean shipping, and the bank said to them, nobody makes it higher than what level you're at. Then the government shut them down and bankrupted them when they had an incident. Yeah, exactly. You know, that's pretty much how it works in all industries. Like if you started a commercial construction company and you started to grow in power and, you know, if you started to become influential, like somebody, worst case scenario that something bad might happen to you, but even just like at a little, you know, on a short note, like they'll ruin you with fines and fees, and you won't get approved for the permits you need, and they'll tear you apart that way, because you see that happen on small scales with like, oh, you wanted to build a shed in your yard, and it's like, nope, you can't get the permit unless you want to put 10 G's down for the inspector. It's like, what? It's a damn shed. It's only got like an 8-inch slab. Yeah, I'm putting a lift in there, but it's not a workshop. It doesn't, no, I'm not planning on sleeping in there. Preposterous. It's just a workshop. Freya, welcome in. How you doing? Doctor Who says, Con with demon erasers. That would be a great show. You know what? I would like to do that show if it was like, I'm scared of him. I mean, he's really knowledgeable. Like, I don't want to seem like such an idiot. You know what I mean? He'll go off on stuff that I've never heard of before, and I don't want to seem like an idiot. Plus, also, I feel like we might butt heads about stuff. I can just smell that he and I are gonna not be friends, and I want it to not be that. Like, I have utmost respect for him. I'm afraid we'd butt heads on something, and I'm not good in the pit. What I mean is, like, I'm pretty effective in the pit, and I don't want it to turn into like some kind of a debate when we're on the same team. If we could have like a concept to talk about and something that could be like something that could boost everybody up, I'd be super down. I just don't. My biggest fear is that I'm kind of like a pretty strongly opinionated kind of extremist, and like I wouldn't want to be like going to war with him over anything. That's my biggest fear in this community. Is I'm not here to fight community members. My opposition is to the disgusting, degenerating mainstream. If we have to agree to disagree, at least we can agree on the general principle of that what's going on, what's being propagated on TV and social media, not good for people. That we can focus on. That I'm big on. And then if we have to get into nitty gritty, we'll figure it out. It's like, you know, like with Demon Erasers, like I said, he's really knowledgeable. He's spent so much time knuckling down on this research stuff that I just have not done. You know, I've been kind of a what you could say a casual researcher for the last decade, and only in the last few years did I become very serious. So I admire people who have devoted so much time to it and stuff. Oh, great, it's Amy. The Sunday service is really good. I found you through your podcast with Paul. I cannot find a good church, so thank you. Amy, I'm glad that you enjoy it and that you appreciate it. It's my favorite thing. Sunday service has been like, it's been hugely transformative for me too, to even say this. Like every time we go and we do this, and I'll go back and listen to it. I don't even remember what I was saying, and I'll listen to it, and I was like, I'm glad that the Lord uses me to teach me lessons, and that can be edifying to others. That's, I think, the thing about Sunday service is I never want to approach this like I'm the big pastor from seminary and stuff. I'm just a person like you guys, and I would say, aside from some of my more weird esoteric influences, I'm rather, you know, I'm not the most educated guy, and I want people to be able to learn together. We learn together instead of trying to set ourselves up as leaders among others. Like, Jesus is the ultimate king and guide, and if he needs anybody to do anything, he'll grab us and put us in place and set us to work. And so we just got to have an open mind and a willingness. And when I started doing Sunday service, I did feel like I was being called to do it. And since then, it's gotten better. Like the last episode was almost an hour, completely unplanned, of me just ranting. And I felt good, right? It was good. And it's part of the saga. We're going to be continuing to be more to talk about the kingdom and stuff. And I'm excited to continue that series with you guys. So David says, I'm on the fence with him. He's 95% awesome, but 5% of the time I'm not sure if I believe what he's saying. Ryan. Yeah, it's like I said, I don't want to create unnecessary conflicts, but it's just like, the way I would put it is that whatever it is, I'm not trying to do that. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'm being self-conscious. I'll look at my video and be like, am I acting like that guy? Okay, good. It's a terrible way to say it, but everyone has their own lane. His lane is not my lane. That's what I'll say. I'm kind of like, I don't know. I think Paul described it. I have to go back and watch the cast we did first time together. But he described me as being somewhere like, entry level. Not to diminish me. He didn't use that term, but he was basically saying, like, I'm the kind of guy who can talk to normal people about weird conspiracy shit, and they can be like, oh, because I'm not like a conspiracy guy. I'm not well known. I'm not trying to like sell you a bridge. I'm just like, yo, guys, like, from the position of where most normal people are, kind of like they're not sure about the government or whatever. I'm like I guess you could say, like, I'm a first hits free kind of guy for this stuff. Like, I'll say stuff or ask people stuff that makes them think. And that's where it starts. That's about all. Because like once you start researching, you got to go check out the real experts. You got to see these guys who put in the work, like Paul and JT and all these guys who have like really, like, I bring those two guys up because I watch them the most, but there are so many others, even like John Levi and stuff, and Old World Florida. And you guys, like Paul shouted out a huge list earlier, and go back and refer to that list because it's a great list of selections. But like I said, I'm kind of more entry level, and I want. I love that. I love that, like, we have, like, kind of, TL says that he said in his live that you're more brave than him on your choice of topics, and he's inspired by me. Well, I think what it is that, like, I'm an American, for one. I get away with it because there's no police going to beat down my door. And if they do, we'll talk about that later. Welcome to my bedroom. Okay. Okay. Don't mind me. That was a technical difficulty. It would be funny if there was something really funny behind that. There's something like super crazy and inappropriate behind the thing. Oh no! It's like a strip club over there or something. What kind of cult are you running? It's an Amsterdam red light cult. Oh, my hot tub's calling. Okay. Point made. If the cops come in, the wall's coming down. Yo, that was good. See, that's what I mean, though. When I said I wanted this to be authentic. That's the thing that's the most important about this, is that it's just real. Because, like, everything else you can script. I've got videos coming that are like, I got a list somewhere. You guys will think it's pretty funny. It's like videos I'm going to be making in the near future, just a little sneak peek of it. And they're all, they're like little, they're all, like, kids aren't being raised by their parents. I don't know what I'm going to call that, but like this generation's kids are being raised by YouTube. They're crazy. They're skibbity retarded. Okay, Kardashian syndrome, which is the current, like, mass formation psychosis of women and feminism currently going on. Mammon alpha, which is like what I talked about, like guys think they're becoming stout by like gaining material resources, which will be swept aside in an instant and instantly reducing all of their work to nothing. I got one that's really not good. It's about war dogs, which is like my unpopular opinion about what kind of dogs people should own in city limits. And then I got another one that's called neo-trad, which is about like modern traditionalism, because obviously being traditional as a in the way that it used to be is not really possible anymore. So it's my mentality of how I'm neo-trad. Like everyone's like, I want a traditional man. It's like, I'm traditional, but I'm also not. I'm not. This is not Little House on the Prairie. Like the situation's different now, okay? I'm neo-trad. Like I got the values of a traditional man, but I've got the understanding that it's a hellhole at this time. There's a couple of those that are coming out, so we'll see those in the next few weeks, but yeah. David says Demon Eraser sent a spirit to get ya. Oh shit. What's up, Dojo? Welcome in, my friend. Better late than never, right? Somebody call Brian. Khan has a map-tossing demon in his house. A forbidden opponent. I don't believe in coincidence. It was literally my first thought when it fell. Yeah. It's just part of the show. I planned it. I didn't think we had enough events going on tonight, so I just tore down the wall so you guys could, I thought the best part about it was I looked at, because I can see the preview. There's like nothing over there. It was just like the wall. But to me, the way my brain works, like the thing fell down and then there's just another wall with a random painting on it back there. If you go back and look at it again, there's just like a random painting on the wall. That was good, dude. That one got me. That was funny. Freya says, our idea of traditional is basically extinct. Well, it sucks, but it is what it is. Like, I'm not a traditional man. Like, if I had it my way, I would never work a job at all. Like, I'm not lazy either. Like, sometimes when I'm working on projects, 8 hours, I don't stop. 10 hours, I don't stop. No, I don't mean like that's a long time and no break. I'll just like grind all day, make myself sick. And then I'm like, yo, I got to be more responsible. I always imagine, like, if I have the right situation, like, a good wife would, like, interrupt me in the project and be like, you need to eat. You haven't eaten in 4 hours, 5 hours, whatever. You need to get in here, you know? And maybe one day we'll cross that bridge. But, like, yeah, traditionally, like, it's the type of guy who would get up in the morning every day and be gone all day at work. And that's not the kind of person I want to be, first of all. Like, I'd like to be able to provide a home and everything. That's harder. That's too hard for me to balance that, I think. Like, I couldn't be a full-time tradesman and do YouTube, and I like doing this. I don't want to leave who I am behind just to work hard, you know? But what I'm getting at is that, like, traditionally, yeah, it's not easy for people to be the way they were for multiple reasons, you know? Like, say you are a guy who works full-time. It's not the society it used to be, so you got to worry about what's going on with your wife and your family. And I'm not saying that every woman is a trader or whatever. That's not what I mean. It's not the way society used to be. So everything is harder. You know, there's so much more at stake. And it's hard when you're like a guy like me. Like, think about this from my perspective. Like, I'm like 5'6". I'm broke. You know, and like, I'm in okay shape. At least I got that. But, you know, it's like when you look at the market one way or the other, right? Like, I've seen wonderful ladies that had everything to offer and wonderful dudes that had everything to offer. Both get equally, totally screwed over and destroyed by somebody for no good reason. And it's hard for people who live through that to continue to try that. It's kind of like definition of insanity, right? Like, you've done everything that you can for other people, but they've betrayed you. And then it makes you be like, well, why would I want to do that again? You know, and I think most people would relate to it as young people. Relationships are scary because of that. Like, what are you going to sign up, you know, for some fucking lifelong thing, and then you just get screwed over by the person who's supposed to have your back in the foxhole? So it's the scariest thing. Like, most people are like, I'll just kind of stick to what I can manage. Anyway, I have a song about it. I Still Want to Believe in Love. It's actually like a really cool song. It's like a hip hop pop song it's on the album. I wasn't going to put it on there, but it's like, Christ Supremacist album it's not a like a lyrical album about telling you how to think. It's about, what is the mind of this guy like who is a Christ supremacist? There's like, why I'm a Christ supremacist, and like, what am I doing here, and why am I here, and all that stuff. But then there's also like, what I believe in. One of the songs is I Still Want to Believe in Love. And it's like, I don't have it over here. But it's basically just like, you know, with everything going the way it is, I don't want to give up, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to believe, like, and not just for myself, not just like romantic love. I want to believe about everybody. Okay, Ryan, you got to get that demon out of there, bro. It was literally me. I reached over there and knocked it down. If it's a demon, it's my own iniquity. Be gone. It's funny. I was watching Shallow Hal. You guys seen that movie recently? It's Jack Black, and it's like one of his like more serious movies. It's still funny, but you know, he meets Tony Robbins in the elevator, and he's such a shallow little asshole, you know, Shallow Hal. And like every girl, he only is interested in the hottest girls, and he's a little loser. And then Tony Robbins like puts a mind trick on him that makes him look at every woman he sees. He only sees their like character inside, and they're all beautiful ladies, and like they may not be the most attractive on the surface based on that. And then, but he sees them as what they are. It's a great movie. It's a really awesome movie. I don't know why I brought it up. Oh, because it's the demon. When he was in the elevator with Tony Robbins grabs his head, because Tony Robbins is like a giant Nephilim with like a bunch of bananas for a hand. And he like grabs his whole forehead. And he's like, demons, come out. It's just one of the funniest scenes ever. And I know it's like we're not supposed to be making jokes about semi-serious shit like that, but in that context, it was funny. Especially since Jack Black is like 5'4", and Tony Robbins is like 7'9". I mean, I know he's not, but he's so huge. Like, if there are Nephilim among us, he's definitely one of them. That's a big boy. And a rich boy, too. You ever notice how some people are just insanely successful and all they do is just like mostly nonsense? I would love so much to like have a podium and like sit on there and lean on it and like be all like really candid. If you want to figure out the key to your success, you're going to have to learn how to look internally. You're going to have to learn how to calculate the requirements Like, you know what I mean? You're just like talking shit. You're not even saying anything. Come to my seminar. I will teach you how to empower yourself to be the ultimate in business success. We got guys earning $20,000 a day, $30,000 a day, $50,000 a day. Come buy my program. And then, I tell you, my patented secret to success. If 1 million of you buy my book, I will become a millionaire, and then I will prove to you my patented trick for success. Jack Black's got some demons deep in that butthole for sure. Ryan. We were talking about his role as Nacho Libre the other day and how hilarious that movie actually is. And how it's like, no, there was just this little time 20 years ago, 15 years ago, where like Tropic Thunder and Nacho Libre, and it just went right over everyone's head. The left didn't exist yet. And there was no such thing. The woke people were asleep. Oh shit. They weren't awake, they were asleep. So Jack Black was role playing as a Mexican guy in one of the most racist performances I've ever seen. It's like it's the most inauthentic Mexican guy I've ever seen. So good. And then Tropic Thunder, which might have come out first. No, Tropic Thunder's later. You literally got Robert Downey Jr. just wearing blackface. I mean, it's good quality. He really does look like a black guy in the movie, but I mean, it's like, isn't that funny how it works? If I did blackface on Halloween, it would have been a big problem, right? Everyone would have gotten all up in arms, but Robert Downey Jr. gets paid millions of dollars to do blackface, and it's okay in 2008 or whatever year that was. My friend went to his seminar, and between her and her boyfriend, they paid $12,000 for Tony Robbins. Is he that successful still? Holy shit. Tony, I take back what I said about your I think you're a great guy, and I would love to also become one of your disciples. I'm the dude playing the dude disguised as another dude. Yeah, I saw those memes going around lately. It was like a Tropic Thunder revival. That's a good one. That's worth watching again. That movie's just like, it's one of those films. It's like it doesn't really hurt anybody. That's one of the things I like about stoner movies. They're not necessarily like, they're not wholesome per se. They're not like, it's not a good message for your children or whatever, but have a good time, you know? Movies like that are just like, comedies are so lost in our culture, you know? You ever notice how nobody laughs anymore? That's one thing I think is important about this show, is that we laugh on this show. And that's one of the things you've got to be able to do. You got to be able to have a good time. For me, when I get in this environment with you guys, it's like all the stress just melts away. I have moments where I get mad, but it's just because it's so real. At least you get the real me, right? Freya says, Tropic Thunder was epic. I dressed as a black girl for Halloween 2 different times, and people loved it and bought it, even with my blue eyes. Yeah, it's different when you're a girl. Like, if I show up in blackface or dressed as Adolf or whatever, like, it's just not going to end well for me. Maybe we're there. Maybe we've become a culture that has progressed enough that someone can dress as Hitler for Halloween again. Like, maybe those days are here. You know, I dressed as a Jewish guy for Halloween because I thought that was the most offensive, non-offensive thing that I could do. And I think that in the future, you guys will see that I'm gonna become increasingly more controversial and edgy as we go. Retard still has some life in it here in the UK, treasuring every moment of it. You know, the thing is, we can take all this back if we just start forcing it. You know what I mean? If one guy becomes the bad guy, everyone will be mad at them and not you. That's how I see it. It's the same thing that, like, you know how Trump comes out and he's like, I've taken all the arrows for you. I've fought for this movement on your behalf. They tried to arrest me. Like, you just do it for real. You actually become the archon of everybody's hate. And then everyone else gets away with it. If I could do one thing, it would be that I become the guy that's like, that dude says gay and retarded on national TV and nobody does anything to stop him. I've tried really hard to clean my language up because, you know, I really think like it's not becoming of like a good holy man. I always come back to these guys like Marmari Emanuel, like got his eye stabbed out and then was praying for the guy in the same day. He's got that wonderful little Levant accent. His mouth is so clean. His heart is so clean. He's so devout and like he prays without ceasing. Like what a legend. I hope when I'm an old white-haired man, I can be like that. But if during my young years, the worst thing about me is that I was overly zealous and a little bit too like extreme, like that's okay. I'd rather chill out than have to warm up slowly. That's, I think, I've said this before, but I could never really articulate it well. I probably still can't. Doctor Who probably hates that because I always say it and I never say it right. I'd like to live in a world where the bad guy in our society was a guy who just, a guy who just is too much, where we're like all really resolved and everything's good. And that guy's just like, yo, can you calm down, man? There are no abortion clinics left. It's fine. Can you take a vacation, man? There are no strongholds left. We've won every territory. And then it's like, I don't think so. Evil never rests. That's me. Like, if there's a character, that's me. David says, but I can say retard without getting funny looks for now. Yeah, I think what it's coming down to is that in general, I think people, especially this election, if it says anything, like it doesn't fix the world, figureheads mean nothing, they select who it's going to be, it's a ritual, we shouldn't participate, all that. We said all that. But at the end of the day, this does tell us that even with the manipulation that does go on and the numbers and everything like that, there has been a resounding rejection of ridiculous, woke, nonsense, far-left ideology in this country. Now, I think what we need is for that to be echoed and reverberated with a resounding, I don't know, people can say that Trump is good enough, but I don't think so. I think that Trump is setting the stage for Congress, and then at that point, when people realize that it's okay to enter the national stage and say something like, and of course, to each their own, make your own choices and decisions. I respect it. I respect you guys to choose your own fate. But it's like when people are talking about, if Trump gets in, abortion's banned, we'll all be strapped into warehouses. Like, I've seen the meltdown on Twitter going on. It's like, I want those people to feel like happy about Trump because that's not a big deal. Like, to me, Trump's not even close to good enough. Like, from my perspective, if Trump was like, day one, I'll be passing an executive order banning all abortion in every state. We will be retroactively punishing all abortion doctors for treason. They have systematically murdered millions of Americans. They will be punished effectively. Like, that would be my course of action. Like, the true tyrant is me. So Trump is soft compared to me. That's and I what I want to get to is maybe not even me, but just I want the world to remember that when people are screaming racist about traditional conservatives, that they're wasting their ammo, because like there are people with far more extreme beliefs that like I wouldn't even consider myself racist either. I just want my culture and my people to be preserved and not to be attacked anymore, Like, I don't care about I don't want to see the destruction of other races. I just want mine to survive. You know what I mean? And I think until I can say that, because like the other day it was like, I was watching some incel channel. Like they always recommend it to me because they think I'm one of them. It's always like these girls in their dating outfits and they go out and look, the way these women are acting, they don't even appreciate men. It's like these guys are just so, see, you guys are bitching. You guys need to stop. But anyway, I left a comment on there because it wasn't about, to me, the video was not even about men and women. It was about like a racial thing. It was like the race is being eliminated. And I just left a comment saying like, he's an Australian guy. My comment I didn't say anything bullying and I didn't say anything racist. I didn't do anything. I just said that like, it's really a shame how it was about guys leaving America to go like to marry Filipino girls and stuff, to leave the country and find women from Asia and Southeast Asia and stuff. And that's fine if you want to do that. I was just saying like, it really doesn't help that the white race is being basically eliminated systemically. And then if you go marry a Filipino chick, like no offense, it's just your kids aren't white anymore. So it's like, I was just simply saying that every other race gets to say, well, we want people to be black and we want black people black. We want Asian people Asian. We want Hispanic people Hispanic. It's okay to want yours, except if you're white. And all I said was that, and I got banned for 24 hours. And the thing that frustrates me is because I've learned enough about how YouTube works to know that people with bigger channels have comment moderators. I'm sure you guys know about that. Wendy actually does it for Paul. And basically what it does is it allows somebody to intercept comments and delete them before they negatively represent the community, right? That's what this is about. That's why you can ban certain words. Like you can ban keywords and they won't pop up. But the reason why I was upset was because when I posted that comment, it had a typo. And when I tried to edit the typo, it was like bugging. So I deleted the comment. Nothing happened. I retyped the comment without the typo. And when I posted it, the second it posted, I got 24-hour ban. And it's because the comment moderator reported me. The person who runs the channel is so bitch made that as society is collapsing around them, degenerating from all sides, they're critiquing people about what they get to say. That's literally what happened. It wasn't that YouTube targeted me. I know what happened. That guy, he's Australian, and his government is a tyrannical piece of shit. And if someone in his comment section says something about white people, because he's on the patrol for it, because people who become aware notice the pattern and make the claim. And then he deleted my comment, reported my comment. I know it wasn't him, but it was his staff. I just know it. And anyway, it's frustrating because you realize that you don't actually have allies in all these movements. These are just complainers. They're not resistors. That guy just loves to make money talking about women acting bad. That's all he does. He has a demographic of young men that are leaderless, that need encouragement, and instead all they do is just dwell in the negativity, showing chicks acting bad on the internet. We should be giving chicks acting bad on the internet absolutely 0 time, and we should be giving dudes that act bad on the internet absolutely 0 time. You decide for yourself what that looks like, but man, if anybody ever wants to get mad on me about the things I say or whatever, just look at Andrew Tate, compare and contrast. Am I that bad? And then if I am, we'll talk about it. Comments get wild on Paul's live chat. That's no easy task. Yeah, Wendy whoops it over there. Wendy handles the business. She stands on business over there. And the thing is, that again, I want to remind you guys how awesome we have it here. Not that Paul's chat isn't great, and Paul's Telegram group is fantastic. That's a really great group. If you guys aren't in there, go check it out. But it's kind of it goes with the territory, but once you become big, you start getting exposed to all these weirdos. We still have this cool, tight-knit community, and we can have real conversations. And Anthony LaVey? Yeah, probably. He's definitely somebody who has, I think my brother said, it's either fetal alcohol syndrome or has something to do with drug use in vitro, or in what do they call it? In Euro. What do they call it? When you're a baby. Andrew Tate was floating around in his mom's little belly, and then his mom was blasting hard drugs. That's why he has a little grape head on a long neck. He's got his ears are glued to his neck. He has some sort of a degenerate, not degenerate. I don't know what you would call it. A birth defect associated with his mother abusing substances while he was in her womb. You can just tell by looking at him. It's terrible, but it's it's a medical thing. There's people that look like it. It's a diagnosis. Wendy says, most people don't get to see this side of me over there unless you're in the Telegram group. Yeah, I bet you don't even get to play nice because everybody makes you be the bad guy, huh? Because you got to deal with all these crazies saying terrible things. And that's more that thing, right? Because it's because Paul, as a UK creator and contributor, they're watching him too. If he seems to be propagating or facilitating some kind of hate speech network, they'll find a way to shut him down and destroy his access to his channel. And for somebody like Paul, making money off of that and having to support his family that way is the last thing I want to do. I always used to say before we started, I'd never want to say or do anything that got Paul in trouble, because for me, if they kick me off, it's shit, I got to go to Rumble now. But if you're actually you've got stuff in life hanging on how far you've come, you know what I'm saying? I'd hate to be in that position. I wouldn't hate to be in that position. I'd hate to be, I think Paul should be able to speak his mind. He should be able to say whatever he wants without fear. And not that I think he's afraid, but just because it's so annoying. It's so annoying that anybody is experiencing censorship. I can't stand censorship. It's the thing I hate more than anything, because it's the core of every other problem comes from the inability to talk about what's going on. Even the Second Amendment, which is so important and is under attack, most of the time the discussion's not being had, and that's why, we're not able to actually get any ground there in terms of solidifying the already solid right that should be, it's almost like the founding fathers should have written, and they should have written, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, no matter what, in any way, shape, or form, capacity, or metric, by any person, by any government, by any entity, by any corporation, by any dog. You know what I mean? We would have had to write a whole other page giving all these different things. So it's and if we didn't include something here, if you can imagine something, that too. You shall not infringe. David says, you just got to deal with some bad apples in the Bible study at times. Yeah, it'd be that way. That's the downside about, being, it's if we were the mainstream, our ideas would be established, but then we would have detractors. And what we have in this is that we have this little, niche community, and then people come to just try to tear it down instead of like to try and enjoy it for themselves. It's the weirdest thing. It's like, you guys don't have a life. Your science thing isn't already like, your scientism religion isn't already established as the main state religion. Like, why would you have to go pick on other people if their ideas are false and they're like, you know? It's weird. You don't see me going out of the way to like pick on dumb people's groups, like trying to go over to even those red pill guys. I don't go in the group and like leave in the comments, you guys are a bunch of pussies. Even if you had money and huge muscles, you're still dumb because you're a bug before God. Like, who goes in the comment section to do that? You know what I mean? I think that if it's one of those things where it's like, I'm not afraid to call out the feminism thing because like, whatever, I don't care. But when it comes to men, I really want to call out young men, because I think that if every man was like, we know what real masculinity is, it comes from the father. It has nothing little to nothing to do with how you appear physically in the realm or what you possess. A lot of that is just a product of your nature. Like, a lot of guys have stuff and power because it comes to them because of who they are. But yeah. David says, Ryan, I agree. Tate should pick an accent. Oh yeah, about that. I know about that one. Where he randomly says certain things. Andrew Tate in his little pink pants talking about masculinity and Bugatti is so cringe. I can tell you right now that like, like, look, I get it. I'm a man with a dream for a car that's like 25 grand. The best one out there is like 40 if you were crazy. And that's like a 20-year-old car, and that's like my mega dream car. Like, and that's like, I don't even care if I don't get it. But like, somebody who drives a Bugatti is someone who has serious problems. Like, don't take advice from somebody who does that, because there's no justifying a Bugatti. Like, you can have the cool guy. There's like a million hypercars out there. You can have fast cars. You can have cool cars. You can have cars faster than that Bugatti. I think a Model S Plaid is faster than that, and it's a third or a quarter of the price or a tenth of the price or something like that. So it's not about money, really. It's about, this guy has a problem with wanting other people to think he's cool and using the inventions of other people to validate themselves. This is one thing I'll talk about when we talk about alpha mammon, or whatever, mammon alpha. Think about how many guys you see on the internet and at car shows and at street takeovers and everything, and they're like in a Challenger or whatever, and they're like doing donuts and like spinning it around, and they think they're so cool. Like, look how cool I am. Got the Scat Pack. I'm so cool. And it's like, you don't do anything. A whole bunch of nerds invented that car, did R&D and testing, developed. It was the most corporate and boring thing that you had absolutely nothing to do with. It doesn't make you cool at all. What you are is a retard with a $900 a month car payment for a car that you just spun into another car. And I know that you pay your payments with drug dealing, but it doesn't change the fact that you're still an idiot and that car doesn't make you cool. See, this is the mentality you have to have. You can't have cool stuff unless you realize it doesn't make you cool. Otherwise, there's something seriously wrong with you. Bugatti, you couldn't make me take a Bugatti. I would sell that thing and feed like starving kids or something. And I'd be exactly in the same shoes I'm in right now, and it would make no difference to me at all. Can Andrew Tate say the same? No, because he has the Bugatti in the first place. You're known by your fruit, right? That's what the Lord says. You will be known by your fruit. David says, I drive a 10-year-old van. It's great. I loved it when I bought it, and will drive it till it dies. What kind of a van is it, David? Like make, model, year? I'm a kind of a pretty serious car guy, like not a builder, but I know I love cars. I mean, $1,400 a month payment, is that for the Model S Plaid or something? What are you driving for $1,400 a month? Shoot, they got pickup trucks for that much right now. You get like a Ram TRX or something. I guess maybe like a Scat Pack Challenger is probably $1,400. Crazy. Can you imagine that? Look, I totally understand people got to get to work. And if you like finance something because you have to. And I am one to talk, because when I was like 21, I financed a car I couldn't afford and defaulted on it, destroyed my credit, you know. Renault Traffic, it's a French van. Yo, we're about to check that out, dude. I love it when I hear of something I've never heard of before. I love it. It's called a Traffic. Like the model is called Renault Traffic. Is it kind of like a Ford Transit? It is. So we have a very similar van in the United States called a Ford Transit. It might even be, I mean, this one looks almost like it might be more like, almost like, I just love that it's called a Traffic. Is it the kind where you kind of, when you sit in it, you kind of sit kind of high and the steering wheel's kind of low? I feel like that's how all these new vans are. Those guys are all right-hand drive, right? You guys are doing Right hand? Just spent 800 pounds fixing it, but it's still my burden to carry. Well, here's the thing, at the end of the day, a lot of people are paying $400 and $500 a month. That's $6,000 a year. And so if your car's not costing you more than like $4 or $5 grand a year in maintenance, you're winning, especially if it's paid off. Like if you own the thing and you don't have a note on it, you're winning. That's what Jack and everyone was talking about earlier this afternoon was about. Everybody's got car notes and they can't afford the payment. And the interest is through the roof and it's crazy. Shoo-wee, guys, it's late. We've hit our 2-hour mark. That means it's about time to wrap it up, of course. Time flies when you're having fun. I can't even believe it's over already. Shoot. Well, of course, as you guys know, we have a bunch of new stuff coming. This Sunday at 8:30 a.m. Pacific. Remember, we did have our daylight saving, so that's 9:30 Arizona, Wendy. Anyway, not that you're ever late. But yeah, so Sunday at 8:30, we're going to be picking back up on the Millennial Kingdom saga of the Sunday service. So going to be our scripture-focused research into this Millennial Kingdom concept and what it means and what all that implies in terms of the future and everything. And and then next week we'll pick up for main character. We'll have some more interesting stuff to talk about. And then Monday we'll probably be back. I've been talking about I got to go up and hit up that new feast, and then we'll see what that is. Let's see. I need a new song. What's the outro song gonna be, guys? I need something good. Somebody name me something good to put on. I always like to send us off with something. Wendy says nap time. Yep, Wendy gets her couple hours of nap before work in the morning. I've been working on my playlist. I just need to get the early 90s was an era, man. Oh, okay. I was really bummed you didn't do a Jersey accent. I saw that and I realized I missed a good opportunity to do it. I just didn't think I was going to succeed. And then I said to my brother, well, the thing is, I can't really do a Jersey accent unless I'm talking about something someone from New Jersey would say. And I was like, hey, get the fuck out of here. And I was like, we got fucking garbage, man. We got fucking Bernie Sanders over here. We got New Jersey. It ain't New York City. We don't have those kinds of, we ain't got 30,000 cops or nothing over here, but we got good Italian pizza. We got garbage men, and we got fucking, I don't know. There you go, that's as good as, we got fucking Jersey Mike's out here. We out here with Jersey Mike, my main man from the Bronx, New York, moved to New Jersey. Now he opened the sandwich shop and everybody's happy. There you go. Oh shoot, Stickly. Yo, dude. I love that you brought that up, man. That is like my childhood. It's like right in the childhood. All right, y'all. It's been real. Thank you guys so much for being here. This has been the Main Character Podcast, level 16 selection. Thank you all so much for being here. We'll see y'all Sunday for the Sunday service when we're picking up on that new, Millennial Kingdom saga. And we'll see you then. Thank you guys so much for being here. And with that being said, Stickly music video